Okay, this is the stream today. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the stream today. So this is part two of the race to 100K in terms of trying to get 100K subscribers. I just thought it'd be fun to live stream this now and continue my Mac game testing. So you might have seen earlier today I was doing some streaming, and what I'm going to do now is continue. So we're at 99974. And basically, I'm in the midst of doing some Mac game testing, so I thought it'd be fun to do a little bit of this and kind of watch this thing tick over. So welcome Chicken to the live stream. Welcome Sami Ullah Khan. Thanks for enjoying my content. What I'm going to do now is we're doing some benchmarks of 24, 36 gigabyte M5 Macs at the moment. So I've been gathering some data and just trying to figure out how to get this to work. So no, thank you. I don't want a native DMG of GTA 5. Firstly, no such thing as native DMG. And if it is a DMG, then it is basically piracy, so which I don't condone. So thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to run the grid benchmark now. And what we had on the other Mac was 81.38 frames per second at 1080p ultra high. So I'll just put this on ultra high and press apply. And then we'll run this benchmark. And I have some notes and stuff which are written on the screen at the moment. And basically I'm trying to get this to compare the results between the 16, 24, and 32 gigabyte versions of the M5 MacBook Pro. So just going to be testing that out today. Probably be online for the next hour or so, just see how this ticks over. And yeah, so in theory, we should be getting better frame rates at this resolution and settings because of texture, memory of like memory pressure, because we have a unified memory platform on the Mac. So can you recommend some good external solid state drives for the M2 MacBook Air base model, which has a slower SSD? So I think the M2 MacBook Air, is that Thunderbolt 4? So I think you can pretty much use any USB 3.2 enclosure and then power up a good solid state drive. So I'm of the opinion that basically any solid state drive is going to work fine. You have different types of caches and stuff, but basically I'll just buy the cheapest P2 Crucial and then put it in an NVMe enclosure, something like some kind of M.2 enclosure, like one sold by Ugreen or Anker. Those are very reliable brands, and basically that's what I would do in order to extend storage on an M2 MacBook Air. So just go ahead and I mean the speed of the solid state drive for me isn't that important, especially if you're trying to install games and stuff like that. It's not that big a deal whether a game loads fast or not. So a lot of the games that I run on my testing, it actually runs from like a NAS hard drive. So the read speeds of that are not particularly good, but they're fine for games. And you know, if you have a Steam Deck, you run a lot of games from an SD card. If you're in a Switch or a Switch 2, then you just have, you know, UHS 1 or UHS 2 speeds, which are very slow. So basically any kind of solid state drive, don't buy a hard drive, but any kind of USB-C solid state drive is probably enough for most use cases. So yeah, so I won't worry too much about speeds. Okay, so let's have a look at our results here. So we're actually getting a similar frame rate as before. So the tests that I'm running are not particularly useful. So here we're getting, what are we getting? 81.18. Okay, so I mean it's virtually the same. I mean the main difference has been testing Uncharted. So I was running Uncharted 4 earlier today in my tests, comparing the 16 and 24 gigabytes, and the 24 gigabyte version, well, the 16 gigabyte version definitely had major issues. I should try BeamNG Drive. Yeah, maybe. Thanks for coming to the stream, Docky. Welcome. A coworker wants a Mac. He's considering an M5 MacBook Air or an M4 Pro. I'll get the M4 Pro. More RAM, more GPU cores. It should perform substantially better. Okay, so I think what I might do, right, is to try to add a bit more memory pressure to this. Is instead of trying to see, I'm doing all these tests at 1080p. What I'll do is I'll push this up to 1440 maybe. No, what I need to do is actually change my capture device. So I need to put my HDMI cable in. So what's nice about the MacBook Pros is that they have HDMI inputs, outputs. Because like a USB-C cable to HDMI is limited. But we've got HDMI here. Let me just see where to put this in. Okay, HDMI 2 in, and then what I'm going to do is run this at a high resolution. So instead of having something like 1080p, which I do a lot of testing at, I want to get some like better results from this. So I want to see the differentiation between the. Oh wow! I think I've just hit 100K. Finally got it live. Thank you very much. 100K subscribers. Whew, that's been a journey. Oh, finally. Okay, great. So, it's been a long, it's a big milestone. It's been a long time coming. I'm proud of my achievement. It's taken many years to get to this stage, but yeah, great. Lovely. Thank you. Thank you everyone who's been subscribing and watching my content over the years. It's been really appreciated. Because sometimes I'll put on the shelf like the plaque when it comes, maybe in a month or two. And yeah, I'm proud of my ability to hit 100,000 subs. Mac Pro Tips, thank you for joining me again. Congrats, that's really amazing. Now you can sell all your Macs. Yes, yeah, ditch this, dump this channel. Don't need this anymore. Don't need this aggravation anymore. Okay, so what I'm going to do is change my display settings to so that I can get proper, like something higher, like 1440p. So if we do 1440p, that might add a bit of memory pressure to this situation. Can I get 1440p variable? Let's try that. Do you feel your MacBook Air getting slow and also worse battery in macOS 26? I haven't really done much battery testing, to be honest, on at the moment. I'm just in like the raw power of how the Mac works. Okay, let's try Grid Legends again. And instead of doing 1080p, we'll do 1440p. And then we'll run the benchmarks here. So let's see if this test yields any better results, because we're trying to see big differences between 16 and 24 gigabytes. A lot of that depends on like memory pressure as well. So we keep an eye on this, on the memory, and see like which one comes up. So we'll do video. So it's full 1440p. And then we'll just pick this at ultra high again. And then we'll apply. And then we'll run this benchmark. And then what I'll do is I'll do a direct comparison with the 16 gig. So right now I'm testing the 24 gigabyte version. But are we capped to 60? Because that's not necessarily that useful if we're capped to 60. Because if we're kept to 60, that doesn't give us that much information, but it is actually going under 60 hertz. So maybe that's enough information to go by. Thank you very much, Q2 Shin 1. Appreciate it. Mac Pro tips. Yeah, hopefully you'll get to 100K one day. It's got to keep pumping out content. I do. I'm planning to do more like Windows game testing at some point, and the stuff you've done so far is really like cutting edge stuff. I wouldn't mind trying. I wouldn't mind trying like Once Upon a Katamari. I have a real soft spot for that game series, and I wouldn't mind trying the new one. On my YouTube, it shows 100K. Yeah, mine's showing 100K as well. So, and slightly more now as well. So yeah, I'm really happy with this. Thank you very much for everyone who's subscribed and watched all my stuff over the years. It's yeah. It's been a journey, you know. You have deserved it. Thank you. So on this app, we're still only using 9.62 gigabytes of memory. So how can I force Grid to run to use even more memory? I might even have to ask ChatGPT this. Like, basically, any kind of like high texture stuff will probably help. Maybe even ray tracing turned on. So what have we got here? So this is 48. Okay, I'm gonna write this down. So it's been pretty inconclusive, the testing so far. So I'm gonna run this again. So Grid, 1440p ultra high, 16, 24, 32. So this has gotten 48.23. Okay, so I'm writing my notes here underneath the screen at the moment. But I don't think that's saturated the memory at all. So memory use 17 gigabytes. Can we make this even better? Maybe running at 4K would be better. It's also insane that you can play anti-cheat games. Which one specifically are you looking at? I might have to run this at 4K in order to get that texture memory to go higher. So we used 17 gigabytes here. So it's physical memory 24 gigabytes. Memory use is 17. So that is into memory pressure arena, but it's not quite there. So what I might do is instead of running it at 1440p, let's run this at 4K and let's see an actual, maybe that's going to yield an actual difference. Let's see. So right now we're at 1440p, and then what we could do is go into 4K. How do I get? Can't really see from here. For some reason I can't get this option to come up. Let's have a look at the display settings, and then while mirroring this, I want to get like, yeah, that's 4K. Okay, so you're not going to be able to read any of this, and I can barely read it too. But that's genuine 4K. Okay, so let's run this at 4K proper, and then play, and we'll try and run this in ultra high at 4K and see if that uses more memory, because it should do, I think. So Ollie, thank you. Yeah, with the newest crossover update, can you play Battle Eye games? I don't think so. You can run it with the Windows 11 on Canary, but that's not the same thing as... Okay, so we're running this at 4K, and we go back into settings. Is this consuming more memory? I'm not even sure. Let's do ultra high, and then apply, benchmark this. Okay, let's see how it goes. So it's 4K. I haven't. I've shown GTA 5 Legacy being played in single player, but as far as I can tell, there's no way of running the anti-cheat BattlEye version on Mac easily. You can't really play it online, even the Legacy version, because of BattlEye. Now, Windows 11 on Canary allows you to do BattlEye, but you can't do it in other. You can't play online with crossover, which you used to be able to. But ever since the BattlEye update, which happened late last year, you've not been able to play GTA Online. Hello, good old Psycho. Welcome to the stream from Germany. Thank you for joining me. Okay. I've definitely shown online before, but the thing is that an update has changed GTA Online. GTA Online is only playable through Windows 11 Canary on Parallels. Have I tested Dispatch from Ad Hoc Studio yet? Not much information online. What is Dispatch? I think I saw something about a game about 911 dispatchers, right? Oh, it's a work superhero comedy. Oh, it's on my to-do list. It's on my list of games to do. Superhero workplace comedy. There's a demo, yeah. I've got a whole list of Windows games I want to test out on Mac, like really soon. So I want to cover like all the big ones. So let me see what I've got. I want to do new Windows games on the Mac. Once Upon a Katamari, Plants vs Zombies Replanted, Clover Pit, Little Nightmares 3 demo, Outer Worlds 2, which just came out, Chronos demo, that is getting a Mac port soon. More Crossworlds, and then Reanimal, which has a demo, and Dispatch, which has a demo. So I will cover that at some point. Jacksepticeye is in... Pi Studios, thank you very much for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Can't stay long because I'm at work, but happy 100k, Andrew. Here's to 100k very soon. Okay, yeah, hopefully one day I'll hit 200k, but I think it'll be years, given the pace that it's taken to get to this stage so far. Okay, let's have a look. So 33 FPS. So I'm just going to write this down. Grid 4K ultra high. So 24, we've got 33.6. 33.69. Okay, so let's just check our memory pressure. It's been good so far. Can't see anything with this. Can't see my user interface at all. But yeah, memory pressure. See, we were going into swap memory at 18 gigabytes, right? Physical memory there. So that means it's 2 over. So we should see a substantial difference in performance between, 4K Grid Legends and 1080p Grid Legends. So let's like do it, okay? Let's put my 16 gig back. And I'll run the identical benchmark. Just take my testing bench stuff off. So I've got quite a neat system. So the way it works is that I can just pop on a new laptop here, like so. Plug in my CalDigit via Thunderbolt. Then I'm going to plug in the HDMI cable. Okay, and then that should get me roughly where I need to be. Okay, so I've got 16 gigabytes here. So this is the 16 gig version. And then what we need to do is, oh, it's crashed here. You know, I should probably just restart this Mac as well. Probably a good idea. Because something funky is going on there. And then I'm going to pair up my keyboard and mouse again. We'll get there. But on Parallels 2, you can play GTA 5 online because the video is just 2 months old. Yes, you can play GTA 5 online using Parallels and Windows 11 Canary. I've got videos on this that I've made in the last year. It's not amazing performance, I'm going to be honest with you. But there's every chance that it could improve in the future. So when I tested it, when I tested it, I was running it on M3 Max with which is quite powerful Mac. Okay, just power up my stuff. And then, very interesting Cyber 2077. Yeah, I think I'll do that with ultra lighting with ray tracing on. I think I'll do that this time now. See how it works. Okay, so I'm going to get my screen to mirror correctly. So mirror the entire screen, and then I use SwitchRes X to force. What I'll do is use SwitchRes X to force a 4K resolution. Let's quit out of Steam. No, we do need Steam. So this is my 16 gigabyte machine. So this one's the 16 gig version, right? And what we're going to do is just do a quick test to look at what grid looks like at this graphics preset. So in the 24 gig version, we were entering memory pressure territory. And so here, what we're going to do is go into 4K. Good old Psycho, thank you. Thank you very much for pressing the subscribe button. It does make a difference to my ego anyway. But the fact is that the YouTube algorithm does so much to serve up content to people who aren't subscribed. So it's not really that big a deal. Overall, in terms of what really matters is revenue and impact on the world, etc. Because you can use YouTube without even being logged in, and it'll once you feed it some data about your viewing habits, it's just going to know, what to look at, what it thinks you will actually watch. Okay, so let's put this in ultra high, apply, and then we'll run this benchmark again. So before we were getting 33.69. So let's see what it's like on the 16 gig, when we're limited to 16 gigabytes of memory instead of 24. So I'm not sure how much higher I can push the settings, because 4K ultra high is as high as this goes, isn't it? On a Mac, on Grid Legends. How much faster can I make it go? Okay, on MacBook, No Man's Sky, etc. runs so good. One of my favorite games. Yeah, I haven't really got into No Man's Sky that much. I'm kind of a bit afraid of big open world games like that. I struggle a little bit to get into these crafting open world, kind of open-ended games like Minecraft. Okay, yeah, I think I'll try Cyberpunk 2077 on high preset and see what the performance is like. With the new you can hop out of your spaceship and fly in space. Yeah, I saw the artwork, the cover art for that. It looked quite interesting. So 4K, where the app is running at 10.4 gigabytes. So if I check the memory pressure in a minute on the activity monitor, it shouldn't be green. So it should be, but it doesn't seem to be affected that much by that. It just took me 5 hours to update 85 lines of code from Minecraft 1.214 to 1.218 because of the rendering changes. What rendering changes are there? What rendering changes are there? Yeah, so we're at 100,001 subscribers. It's taken me such a long time to get here. I remember, because I've been on YouTube for a really long time now, and I started off with like videos of my children and a few viral hits there, but I only really got back into it probably about 5 or 6 years ago when I started recording Mac repair stuff. Weirdly, right, I'm getting higher frame rate on this 16 gig model for some reason. I don't really understand that. So here we're getting, what is it, 35.459. Okay, so very, very close, right? There's only less than 2 frames average difference between these two Macs. See, we've got here system memory. Let's look at that memory pressure. I need to get this. Let's go back to default 1080p. Okay, so let's look at activity monitor. And yeah, so we didn't even get into memory pressure there. No swapped used. So what can I do to configure this to get this working properly? Advanced. There's nothing higher than ultra high. There's no resolution that's higher that I can actually push this higher at. So even for a game like this, right, we're not getting. I can't actually push this high enough to be able to make a difference. Okay. So okay, Grid is not the right game to test because I can't actually get this to do the thing, you know, to demonstrate the memory pressure that I want. So I think well, we're going to have to go with like a 4K Cyberpunk. Just see how that, if we can do anything with that. Okay, so 4K on. No, Cyberpunk. Okay, let's try and do something here with this. So yeah, I think maybe with ray tracing turned on, then that's going to affect the frame rate more. Yeah, performance is under the M4 Pro, I think. Haven't really looked at it properly to properly compare yet. Okay, let's run like some benchmarks at 4K here. So I need to change this to a 4K resolution. It's better than the M1 Pro. I'm not sure about M2 Pro. I haven't looked at it properly yet. Let's look at video. Let's do full screen 4K. Okay, and then let's try ray tracing ultra. Ray tracing ultra. Just see how this works. See, I want the app number. That's 12 gigabytes. We're getting somewhere because the metal graphics is ramped up, but then 12 gigabytes of app memory, that's a lot. So I can see that the frame rate's really bad now, right? I bought this, but I can't really get into the game. It looks amazing though, yeah. I struggle a little bit with these open world games, GTA 5 as well, Cyberpunk. I have played a substantial amount of Cyberpunk, but Okay, let's run this all the way through and then see what memory pressure is like afterwards. What's good about Cyberpunk is that it has a very short benchmark, but you can't quit out of it once you start it, which is very annoying. So I'm testing ray tracing. So I'm going to try this. Cyberpunk 4K RT Overdrive. Did I do RT Overdrive or something else? I'll just check this. 3 favorite games, like and historically, I'd say, like nostalgically, probably Clair Obscur, Expedition 33, original Final Fantasy 7, and I don't know. There's an old game that I really like called Planescape Torment, which you can play on the Mac, and that's really impacted me a lot. I think about it a lot. I haven't tried Pokemon ZA yet. My son's been playing it on the Switch too, which he kind of really enjoys. Okay, so this is the Ultra mode. It's not Overdrive, it's Ultra. RT Ultra. Okay, and we're getting a frame rate 10.69. 10.69, okay. So let's see what the memory pressure is like. Yeah, so you can see memory pressure went into the yellow. So that went into the yellow, and then it started going into the red there. Yeah, so that was like bad. Okay, so let's quit out of this, and I need to find this quickly. Like, how do I get the test to work? Okay, let's go into the 16 gig version again. So back to 16. So in a way, it's quite a good thing that it's kind of hard to find the difference between 16 and 24 gigabytes for games, because it means that for most people, 16 is going to be plenty for most people, and it's going to be quite specific circumstances when you're going to have problems with actual differences in performance with gaming. Okay, so let's do this again. 4K. Put this into 4K, and then we'll run Steam, and we'll run Cyberpunk at 4K RT Ultra, and then let's check what the memory pressure is like. So Cyberpunk. Thank you, Louis, for those kind words. Yeah, just got to 100K maybe like 10 minutes ago or something, so I'm really happy with that. Thank you. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. You know, becoming an influencer of one of the most bizarre niches that exist in the universe. You know, gaming on Mac is not exactly a popular pastime, but it's still something that, you know, it's interesting to see it's working. Okay, let's go to ray tracing Ultra, and we'll run this benchmark. So before we were getting 10.69, and we were hitting the memory limit of 16 gigabytes. And I want to see with 24, are we going to get better frame rates because of the lack of memory pressure, or is it going to be the same, or is there going to be hardly any difference? It looks like there's hardly any difference, because ray tracing is pretty hard on these base level chips with only 10 GPU cores. Your three favorite games are Outrun 2, Sega Rally, and Ridge Racer. So we've got a Sega fan here. The input res is still 1080p, and it's being upscaled to 4K. Or maybe Monkey Island. I played Monkey Island 1 and 2 like over and over again so many times when I was young. Did you like the last Monkey Island? Because I played that a couple of years ago, last year. Return to Monkey Island, and I really liked that. That was fun. The art style grew on me after a while. I didn't like it at first, but I quite liked it at the end. Yeah, you never finished it. You mean you never finished the first games? Or, yeah. The new one's decent. I think I need to devise a good test that's going to actually make an impact on this memory pressure business. Looking at all the videos, Andrew's probably much older than I assumed. I'm 40 now, so I've turned 40 this year. So most people don't think I look 40 years old, but I am 40. Yeah, my son is 14 years old. So just this year in about a week. That just makes me feel really old. Okay, so it's like the same result, 10.7. 10.70. So I've got 4K, but Metal FX is turned on. Let's look at memory pressure. It's still within limits, so it's not. How do I get the Mac to? Because in the past, right, it was really easy to see the difference between 8 and 16 gigabytes of memory. How much performance difference does it make? But right now, I'm struggling to run a benchmark where the 24 gigabyte version is substantially better. Turn off ray tracing. Okay, let's try that. So I could try a preset like Ultra, but I've already done Ultra before, haven't I? Ultra with quality mode. And maybe if I turn Metal FX off. So Ultra with Metal FX off. That gives a native 4K. Right, we'll try that. You're right, Dad? I look so young. Yes, exactly. I should do a remake of the Gangnam Style video with him. Yeah. You know, ironically, right? I think about this. My son's really into K-pop and J-pop, right? Japanese pop. And so maybe it was influenced by that, you know, by conditioning from a baby. Okay, native 4K. J-pop rules, yeah. I took my son to an Ado concert. Well, my wife took him to an Ado concert a few months ago. If you know who that is. It's using roughly the same amount of memory, so I'm not sure. I just did the ray tracing Ultra benchmark. I was getting about 10 frames per second on this. You love Ado. Yeah, Ado was in London. Congrats on 100k subscribers. Thank you very much. I wonder what is happening. Yeah, this M5 does not like being run. Look at the frame intervals, 130 milliseconds. Bad. The thing is that if I stick to 1080p, I can't actually get a different benchmark. The only differences I can see is that when I'm running a Windows game, what video texture memory heavy games are there which will tax this? Because like I ran Grid Legends with no Metal FX at ultra high settings, and I couldn't get it to surpass 16 gigabytes of RAM usage. So I wonder what. Let me think. Are there any new games this year that came out which would be an interesting way to benchmark this? Like Cyberpunk is too optimized. It's only those Windows games I can't get it to work very well. because reality is like 16 gigabytes of RAM is probably enough for most people. And most games too, let me think. Games which came out this year: Resident Evil 3, Wuthering Waves, Assassin's. See, I couldn't get a difference working with Assassin's Creed Shadows either. But it could be that I could run Assassin's Creed Shadows at a higher resolution. So I was running at 1080p native AA very high preset. Okay, I'm not sure this is going to give me particularly interesting results because yeah, we didn't hit memory pressure there. Okay, I don't think I can get this to work with Cyberpunk. I think I might have to test out Shadows again. So I'm just going to get Shadows running. It's going to get Assassin's Creed Shadows going again. So instead of running this at 1080p, let's run this at 4K instead, okay? Okay, Shadows. 4K. 4K, no metal effects. Let's see if I can get memory pressure to hit this hard. Fans and temperature. I mean, you don't really want to know how bad that was. Okay, so let's run the benchmarks. I've done it earlier in this stream, in the last stream I did. We did some testing on this. And what I'm going to do instead now is go run this at 4K, right? And then with terms of scalability, okay, scalability. I think the menu is struggling here. You can see that the app is already using a lot of memory. Okay, so yeah, very high. Let's see the benchmark on this, how this goes. See, normally in this area, you'd expect something like 60 FPS because there's hardly anything loaded in that loading screen. Thoki, thank you very much for supporting my channel and all of the live streams that I've been doing. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, so the app, okay, now we're getting under real memory pressure here. So 16 gigabytes the app is using plus 11.26 gigabytes of pressure here. So it's very high at 4K resolution. And I think it's tanked because of memory pressure. So I'm trying to test this. So I imagine if I run this again on my 24 gig machine, that we're going to get a better frame rate. So it's going at 9.8 FPS. So I'll check the graphs in a minute at the back. See, we're not really capping out on CPU. I think we're doing pretty well here. I think this might be the test that's going to work for us today. But it's a good sign because we have to construct quite contrived tests in order to see a difference in this performance. Yeah, so the app is saying 17.42 gigabytes, average FPS of 8. So this is the... Actually, we're testing a 24 gig machine, so I wonder what it'll be like on the 16 gig machine. Is this going to hit memory pressure? Because it's consuming 17 gigabytes of on the app. Let's have a look. I'll try this again with the preset set to just medium instead. See how if that helps. This is a long benchmark. It's kind of annoying how long it is. But I need to see what the final result looks like to like really understand what's happening here. It's a beautiful game. It's just a bit boring, this one, Assassin's Creed Shadows. Am I using a 96-watt power adapter? Yes. Okay, 10 FPS average. Let's see the situation with memory. Yeah, so it went into, the thing is that this went into it on the 24 gig machine. So it could be that the 32 gig machine will run this better, even with the same M5 chip. Okay, let's try it with the 32 gig machine. Yeah, I wonder if that'll make a difference. 4K. That's like 10 FPS, right? 10? You know what? I'm gonna while I'm here, let's just run that Assassin's Creed Shadows. But instead of using very high as a preset, we'll try medium, right? And see if we can not hit memory pressure on this so that I can compare it properly to the other version of the game. Okay, let's try this. Okay, let's try medium. Okay, so shadow. I haven't tried Diablo 4 on the M5 yet, but I'm sure it'll be similar to the M4. I'm sure it'll be better than the M4. Okay, so scalability. Let's run this on medium and see if the okay, it needs to restart. Let's run this at medium instead and see if it uses less RAM. Looks like it. Okay, let's see. Ah, it's good. Okay, shadows again. The menu does not like being run at 4K. Okay, so 4K medium. So there's a little bit of ray tracing happening here. Let's run this benchmark. Yeah, 140 watt is overkill for base M5 anyway. So you can see the VRAM budget, about 8 gigabytes, which is reflected in the metal HUD, saying about 8 gigabytes. Interestingly, it's got a similar kind of frame rate to what we were running before, like 10 10 FPS. So I guess the higher the resolution, the more taxing it is on the GPU cores as well, right? There's more stuff to render. So maybe I shouldn't be running this at 4K. Maybe I should be running it at 1440p, right? And then using the presets in order to tweak the amount of RAM being used, amount of memory being used. That might be a better test. Yeah, I think I have that test. Feels like the fifth generation Apple Silicon finally enters gaming stage on a somewhat serious note. This is where I feel the birth of Mac gaming begins, I feel. The thing is that I've heard this a lot of times now. So the Mac gaming, at the time, like 4 years ago when the M1 came out, was a lot better than the Intel Macs with the integrated graphics chips of the past. So it was a much better then. But the thing is that, do Apple have enough momentum to be able to push this forward? It doesn't feel like they're very serious about Mac gaming as an idea, for the normal serious PC desktop gamer, console gamer. The Mac is still not something we can take seriously. So the M5 is a big performance jump compared to the M4, but it's, even if it was like 10 times faster, it still wouldn't make it necessarily a really good gaming machine without the necessary game and software support. Okay, so this used less memory, about 3 gigabytes less, I think. Let's see. So this is 12 FPS. I'm not sure this is the best test for this because the okay, let's try another benchmark with 1440p at this. It's very unrealistic to even contrive a situation where you're trying to play this game at 4K on a base level Mac. Just go to 1440p. For me, like 1440p is like perfect for most yeah, it's a medium 1440p. Let's run this benchmark. What's happening here? Is it crashed or something? It's saying CPU utilization is 104%. That seems a bit high. What's happening here? Doesn't feel that hot. We crashed. Something's gone wrong here. I think the biggest growth in Mac gaming will come from the casual and social games rather than hardcore stuff. Yeah, agreed. Apple already dominate in casual gaming market anyway. There are probably like 10 times more people playing Sims 4 on a Mac versus playing Cyberpunk 2077 on a Mac. It's probably more than 10 times because the Sims 4 market is like gigantic. and it doesn't have a representation on Steam. So the Mac version of the Mac version doesn't come up on isn't on Steam. You have to download EA Desktop to get that running. Okay, medium benchmark this. Let's do this. The challenge is the business side. The hardware isn't the problem. It's convincing developers that they'll make money. It's already the operating system and the graphics API that's the issue. It's like makes it extra challenging to get those games running on the Mac. It's just a big hurdle that you have to cross. Apple claimed that Apple TV was going to be a gaming console, and there was deafening silence afterwards. I actually used Apple TV quite a lot in the past as a gaming console. It pairs Xbox and PlayStation controllers really well, and Apple Arcade, there are a few interesting local co-op games like Crossy Road Castle, which work pretty well. Yeah. But it's not a serious gaming device. I mean, the latest generation of the Apple TV works worse than the last one because it's passively cooled. So even if the chip is faster, inherently faster, it works. I remember watching a Mr. MacWrite comparison video between the gaming performance of the latest and the previous generations of the Apple TV, and it was a step backwards. Why does resolution not affect FPS performance? It does affect FPS performance. It stresses the GPU. So 1080p should be much harder than 720p. It depends where the bottleneck of your computer is. Is Black Friday a good time to buy a new MacBook? Apple doesn't discount things during the year, generally speaking. Okay, so let's look at our FPS marks here. Okay, so we're getting 21 here. Okay. Okay, so that's pretty much it for me today. So thank you very much for joining me. I'm going to be making this video. I'm still as you can see, it's still recording all the kind of B-roll content that I can get so that I get enough information to show the difference between 16, 24, 32 gigabytes of memory. And hopefully I'll be able to come out with that before I have to return all of these Macs. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me on the stream. Thank you very much for joining me on this YouTube journey. Getting to 100K has been a dream. Hopefully I get to show off my plaque in the next month whenever it gets verified and then ordered. But thank you very much for having me. Sorry, Aziz Farhat, I am ending the stream in a minute. I'm streaming for an hour now and gonna hang my hat, and I really appreciate everyone coming together and sharing, this moment. Maybe I'll do one for the next big milestone, 150, 200K. When it comes, it'll take several years, I think, for me to get there. Anyway, thank you for joining me today. We'll see you in the next video. All right, bye-bye.